Heavy tanks became a true symbol of 20th century warfare. Armored giants with massive guns inspired fear in the hearts of men simply by appearing on the battlefield. In real life, these behemoths faded into the background by the 1960s, replaced by more practical designs. In War Thunder, however, heavy tanks remain highly relevant. Today we'll break down the differences between the main representatives of the class and help new players choose the right one for the job. The largest number of heavy tanks can be found in the Soviet research tree. The first regular vehicle, the KV-1 with the L-11 gun, is waiting for you at rank 2. It's a well-armored, reasonably mobile, and well-armed tank. Overall, tanks of the KV family are protected by solid armor both frontally and on the sides, though there are notable weak spots, such as the flat areas on the turret front. In addition, their limited gun depression makes fighting from hull-down positions or on uneven terrain rather difficult. The defining traits of the KV series are most clearly expressed in one of its later variants, the KV-85, a fairly mobile vehicle with a punchy gun. Later Soviet heavies place a much stronger emphasis on firepower. The IS-2 is not particularly well protected, especially in its early versions, but it remains very mobile and carries the D-25 gun, which is exceptionally powerful, though burdened by a long reload. All in all, mid-rank Soviet heavy tanks have effective armor-piercing rounds and decent mobility, but their armor protection is nothing to write home about. Finally, the last heavies in the Soviet tech tree combine the strengths of their predecessors. For example, the IS-4M boasts very strong all-round armor, even by heavy tank standards, while still retaining acceptable mobility. However, most late vehicles in the class continue to use the same D-25 cannon with its long reload, which is far less convenient to use when facing early main battle tanks. Germany's tech tree also contains plenty of heavy tanks. While several premium and event vehicles appear at early ranks, the true entry point into the German heavy class is the legendary Tiger, sitting at rank 3. It features solid, though unsloped, armor and a punchy gun with a relatively quick reload. At the same time, the Tiger accelerates worse than Soviet heavies of the same rank, such as the IS-1. The German tank's role is to methodically locate and engage enemies just around the front line, disabling them quickly by hitting their weak spots. Its successor at rank 4, the Tiger II, pushes all of these advantages to the extreme. Its gun offers excellent ballistics and penetration, making it an ideal sniping tool, while the tank's hull armor can withstand hits even from some tanks coming from rank 5. Mobility, however, is even worse than that of the original Tiger. German designers turned the Tiger II into a true mobile fortress. Basically, a heavily armored tank destroyer. All variants perform well in this role, though the most mass-produced version with the turret featuring flat cheeks tends to be the most reliable choice. Heavy tanks in the US tech tree show much more variety. Overall, many of them work well as versatile combat vehicles that are well suited for engaging the enemy on hilly terrain. American engineers tend to combine mobility, decent armor, and strong firepower, all in a single impressive package, albeit with some compromises. Early examples like the tanks of the T1 and M6 series are only moderately protected, but they boast spacious fighting compartments and high survivability. Furthermore, their guns are vertically stabilized and feature excellent gun depression. These tanks excel at maneuver warfare and fighting over uneven terrain rather than head-on frontal assaults. By contrast, tanks of the Sherman Jumbo family are armed with relatively weak guns, but great at direct assaults, as even a Tiger can struggle to penetrate their impressive frontal armor. The strengths of American design truly shine through at ranks 4 and 5. The T-26E5, for example, combines strong armor, a powerful and fast-firing gun, and decent mobility. While its 90mm shells lack penetration and the tank's frontal armor has some weak spots, the overall balance of characteristics makes the T-26E5 one of the best heavy tanks of its rank. British heavies are rather special. The most iconic early British heavy, the Churchill 1, is as well protected as it is poorly armed. Its armor often withstands hits, even from higher rank opponents, but its 2-pounder gun lacks both penetration and post-penetration damage. All Churchills are slow, fortress-like vehicles that struggle to keep up even with other heavy tanks and rely primarily on armor in combat. However, things change dramatically at rank 5. Both the Conqueror and the Carnivan feature solid armor and acceptable, if modest, mobility. They are also equipped with stabilized, punchy guns. The Conqueror's one is more powerful, and the Carnivan's one has a better fire rate. These tanks perform best as reliable second-line fighters that make good use of terrain and gun stabilization to pick off enemies at medium range, one by one. French heavy tanks deserve a special mention. Their design philosophy was heavily influenced by the period of German occupation, resulting in a stark contrast between pre-war and post-war vehicles. The 1930s Char B1 resembles British designs in its high level of protection, though in this case it's more about survivability than raw armor thickness. Uniquely, it carries 2 guns to engage enemies, one in the turret and another mounted in the hull. The post-war AMX-50 Surbassé is just as unusual, but for entirely different reasons. It can barely be called a heavy tank at all, more of a fast medium tank with armor resistant only to small caliber guns, but armed with an extremely powerful auto-loading gun. In combat, the tank relies on mobility and shooting from cover, and does not favor head-on engagements. Heavy tanks are among the most straightforward, and at the same time most engaging, vehicle classes in War Thunder, often boasting enormous battlefield potential. Which ones do you enjoy using the most? Share your favorites in the comments down below.